Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be xhairymuppetx, and we are going to be casting a Masters level game, or one of these players is a Master anyways. I think oLmA is a Diamond level red Zerg player, and up the top right, Xenien, a blue Terran, is a Masters level player, so it's technically a Masters level game. So let's have a look, and let's see what happens in this game. Of course, we'll probably have to wait for a few minutes for something interesting to happen. But for now, we can have a look. There's a nice shallow ramp, nice semi-wide sort of thing going on here. And of course, we do have our two gold bases in the middle, so that is going to be very exciting. This is actually like the fourth game I've cast today. It is a weekend, but if I'm actually able to upload 4 games on a typical day, then my internet is having a very good day. And the first 3 are actually uploading at the moment, and I've got a 4th one. I'm not going to upload it yet because I think if I upload 4 at once, my internet's just going to crash and burn, or I mean half the videos are listed at 2,000 minutes left, which is something stupid like, I don't know, 30 hours or something like that. But hopefully they'll all calm down a bit after one or two of them are finished, so we'll see how that goes. And meanwhile, we're just going to keep on casting and casting and casting, because of course, if I cast a crap load of videos on the weekend, even if I can't upload them all, I can always upload them during the week when I am at work. Yes, work sucks, but must do it. And here we go, we've got an early hatch coming for the Zerg player at the 14-minute mark. It's probably going to go for a... I've noticed in a lot of these games, some of them go for a 14 pull after this, some of them tech up a couple of drones straight away and they go for a 16 pull a little bit later, but it does look like oLmA is going for a 14 pull here, so that's the more standard approach and a little bit safer. Yeah, I believe I've cast 1 or 2 games of oLmA in the past. I'm not sure how well he or she did, but I expect good things from this game. So let's have a look. This SEV is going to see the hatchery. It's going to build a bunker. We do already have 1 Marine coming out and a Reaper following it soon after. So I think these guys should get in there. Of course, these 2 drones coming out, they're going to hit the SCV and not the bunker. And with constantly hitting this SCV, I don't think he should be able to get the bunker up. But it does depend. Look at this beautiful positioning here. He's right between the minerals over there, so the drones couldn't catch him. And I think he might actually get the bunker up after all, just because of that nice positioning. There he goes. He dies before he can dive into the bunker himself. And these drones, not going to be able to do too much at this point. It's going to take way too long to get the bunker out, but they are going to put down a spine crawler, and this is an excellent defensive move. This 1 Marine is not going to be able to take down that spine crawler, and here come the Lings anyway, so it's going to lose a couple of Lings, but I think that's a fair trade considering this bunker is going to go down. The Marine hops out to do some damage, the Reaper hops out to do some damage. I think that Marine got stuck trying to get away or something, but the Reaper is going to come in. However, he only has until this spine crawler comes up to do some damage, and there's the Queen, so he's going to choose not to go up the ramp. It's probably a smart decision because there already is a Queen up there, so he would be trapped at that point. So bit of Terran harass there. Not going to do too much damage. Maybe you got 1 drone there, a couple of Lings, but really I think they're both in a fairly good position at this point. Oh, very nice, very nice. So this Reaper's just going to come back maybe for a bit of a scout. He's going to see this Queen, and that's fine. I think he can go up this ramp, and that's what he's going to try and do, but the Ling's already seeing him there. If the Reaper keeps off the creep and keeps moving, he might be okay, but no, the Ling just caught him on that creep, so yes, not very good for that Zerg player. For that Terran player, sorry. And we do have 7 drones coming up. And of course the Terran player yet to take an expansion, but he's going to get working on that now. However, if that's up to 25 now, so the Zerg is definitely doing a lot of good work to get his stuff going. And wow, look at that, 3rd command center coming up already. He's just building this into he hasn't finished it yet, but I suppose he will build it into an orbital. And he doesn't have that many tech structures going there now. It looks like he's got a barracks, reactor, and a factory with tech lab. So he's going to go for marine tank. And this is not a bad strategy at the moment, because he should be able to get into this expansion, get it down, and with the tanks on the field, he should be able to defend against any early Zerg tech options. So roaches, he should be able to knock them back. Lings, he'll definitely be able to knock those back with tanks. So yeah, he's looking at fueling his macro a bit more as well. But the Zerg player is well and truly stocked into the macro at the moment. He's got his 28 workers up, but the Terran not far behind with 24. And there we go, that one siege tank blast just completely ended any hope the Zerg player had of getting his Lings in here and doing some damage. So he's going to have to just sit back. Probably will get another third base, fairly quickly. He's doing a very good job with the creep here, so this is going to be absolutely amazing spread of creep by about the 15-20 minute mark in this game. And yeah, he just needs a third base now, and then I think the Zerg player will be in a good position to start dealing with this Terran. On the other hand, the Terran is going to get a Hellion. He's got to push out with the Marines and the Hellions. Not sure about this. The Marines are really, you know, they're quite well needed back here to defend this base, and the Marines are not going to be able to do too much damage, I think, out here. The Hellions, though, if the Hellions can go in, they can try and roast a few guys, but this creep spread is so big that the Zerg player is going to know they are coming well before they actually arrive, and he's just checking for expansions at the moment. So he's going to see this one isn't going to take in, hasn't been taken yet. It is like, alright, the Zerg player is only on 2 bases, I'm on 2 bases. If I can do some damage now, I might be able to eke out an early win straight through economy. So that is what he's going to be doing. But what he really needs to be doing is watching these Hellions, because, yeah, they are just, not good against Queens. These 2 Queens should be able to push these Hellions off, but he is trying to keep this Queen alive. I don't think he'll be able to do it, but yeah, I'd say that probably worked for the Terran. He lost 1 Hellion, and this guy lost 1 Queen, so the Queens cost about 50 minerals more than the Hellions, and he can repair the Hellions, but repairing those 3 Hellions is probably going to cost him about 50 minerals. So overall, I don't think he did that much. Terran play, he's just going to miss out killing that Overseer. If the Overseer keeps moving, he can get out of there alive, but he can't. Now there he goes, he's dead. He went in too close. He did see these buildings, which are just barracks, so they're not going to really worry him too much. He did see this 3rd command center. He's not going to shift that out anytime soon. It's way too early for a 3rd base, but he does have it as an orbital, so it's going to be Mule City from here on in. And here we go, we've got 2 more barracks over there. We can just, I guess, wait for the starport. 7 barracks, I only see 5. Where are the other 2? They're up here. 2 barracks, and what is this? That's another barracks, I must be miscounting them. No, there's, whatever. He's producing a crap load of barracks, that's all you need to know. And here we go, there's actually a supply drop on that supply depot, so that's a very interesting use of the energy. Most people won't do that. They think it's a waste of energy. They could otherwise be spent on mules. Mules are always helpful, but he has decided to go for a supply drop. Maybe he was in desperate need of supply there. Maybe he just felt like it. Who knows? These Hellions still just going around, doing a bit of scouting. They've got to watch out because the Queens are always going to be at the end zones. Well, maybe not always. They've pushed out enough creep tumors, I guess, to let the creep tumors go by themselves. And a nice scan here, and roasting these creep tumors, I think would definitely be worth the cost of that scan to wipe out those 4 creep tumors. But he's not going to do it. He's just going for a bit of a scan, bit of a look around, and he really wants to go ahead and see this base. That is really, really what he wants to do. He wants to go in there, see that this base is coming up, and that will they will pay for these Hellions getting the scout off on this base. And also he sees the fairly decent amount of roaches coming up there, so that is also a good thing to see. So he may start to go into a bit more marauders at this point if he feels like he needs to. He may not. I mean, if Widow Mines can get off a decent amount of hits, then he might be fine with just Marines. And of course, if they get the shield, which they do have, they can last just that much longer against the roaches. And if we have a look at the army, Terran player is a little bit ahead. He's definitely got these big bulky tanks here, as well as the Widow Mine. So I think technologically he's a little bit ahead of the Zerg player, who only has roaches at the moment. So roaches are at the higher level of base tech, but tanks are definitely mid tech there. So Roaches not going to do that well against this army, especially with the Widow Mines in there as well. So there he goes. You see that beautiful move there? He pulled the Xenien in to the creep tumor, almost baiting the roaches to come out and grab him. But I'm not actually sure if that's what he was doing, because if they had actually come out and gotten him, that would have been very bad. But we do see 4 or 5 infestors there, so that is going to very effectively counter this large marine force. And the roaches can then sort of go in and try and take out the tanks, but I'm not sure he really has a good solution for the tanks yet. I mean, the tanks are just yeah, unfortunate for these Widow Mines. There's a couple of spore crawlers out the front there, so the Widow Mine's not going to be able to do what they need to do. These Marines are very jumpy. They do not want to go anywhere near those bloody infestors, because that is just going to be bad news. And meanwhile, the Zerg player trying to keep his forces out of the range of siege tanks. So it's very sort of in and out from both sides. Here we can see, meanwhile, the Terran player has got his third base out. Wouldn't be surprised to see some mules coming down on there anytime soon, but he is going to move a small marine force in here. They're just going to eke around the corner. They're going to take out a couple of drones. And here we go. Here's some infested swarm eggs, I suppose they're called now, infested Terrans. And it's definitely bad to put them right next to the tanks, because of course they will wipe out the tanks, and the tanks can't hit them because they're so close. So the Marines and the Marauders, it's up to them to kill the infested Terrans. And of course their damage just isn't as high as the siege tanks, especially after those guys went in. The Roaches did a lot of damage while the siege tanks were distracted by the infested Terrans. No fungals really went off as far as I could see. There may have been a couple that I missed, but it was mainly the Roaches going in while the tanks were distracted by the infested Terrans. So some nice use of the infestors there. These guys are pretty much going to be killed. They're just going in, trying to do some damage. I think this tank has been left for dead as well. He's concentrating on this force over here. Very large amount of Marines here with 2 weapons already. So fantastic job by our Terran player here in getting his upgrades up. He's got 2 armor going forward. The Zerg managed to cancel that hatchery, so he's not going to lose too much. He has managed to hold on to his third base over there, and there's been no push into the third base of the Terran. So economically, I think the Terran is ahead at this moment. He is 5 harvesters up, so that can only be a good thing here for him. He's going to do a little push out here just to see what's going on. He's managed to snipe an infestor with those 5 Marines. That was those Marines definitely paid for themselves. 5 Marines for 1 infestor. I'd say that's I would definitely make that trade. That's a very good trade to make. These guys going to go in. Roach is going to come in. They're going to wipe out this guy. The Roaches really are showing their disadvantage with their slow range. We got a beautiful stim to get out of that fungal growth there. You can actually see with fungal growth now the little green projectile that shoots out and actually hits those guys. So those guys did a very nice stim and managed to run away from that in fungal growth. And he's left 3 Widow Mines behind. So if the Zerg tries to get back up here, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And there we go. This is a very good use. I've actually, yeah, I guess those Widow Mines, they're like every other unit. They probably can't detect the changelings. I would expect that if he scanned there, they would attack the changelings. But I guess they react like every other unit when it comes to changelings. They just don't hit it unless there's a scan going on. So anyway, Terran player going over here. He's hunting for hatcheries all over the place. He's not finding any at the moment, so he thinks, alright, the Zerg player's on 3, I'm on 3. This is good. He could probably try and go in and get this one again, but I'm not sure. This Zerg army is starting to get quite scary, and he hasn't got his full army. Half of his army is over here. What I haven't seen for the Terran players so far is medevacs. He's starting to get those out now, but he really should have had quite a few by now. And this army is just going to get absolutely molested here by the fungal growth. So just going to wipe them all out. They did a bit of damage. They may have sniped 1 or 2 infestors, but the rest burrowed and got out of there after letting off their fungal growths. So that Terran player, a bit of a loss there, but he's going to be able to build up quite fast. He's got extremely large amount of barracks, 12 barracks there, so his production capacity is extremely good. The Zerg player, meanwhile, only has 3 hatcheries. He hasn't managed to keep his 4th, and he doesn't have a macro hatchery. Here he's going. He's trying to get a macro hatchery up here. I don't know whether the Terran managed to snipe this before. I think he did when it was coming up. But yeah, he's starting to build it up again. So the Zerg really could use this other hatchery just to build up units. You could definitely use another mining base as well, but I don't think he's in serious bad territory yet. When this thing starts getting mined out, then he will be in bad territory, but he's not quite there yet. However, the Terran, the income is just way more than the Zerg player at the moment, so I think over the long term, the Zerg is in a lot of trouble. He's just not getting the income that he needs. His army isn't that bad, but the Terran just can build way more, way faster than he can. And I think he's got the upgrade advantages as well. These guys are 2-1. The Terran is 2-2, and he's getting 3-3 on the way. Meanwhile, the Zerg is getting 3 weapons and 2 armor. So he's not that far behind. But yeah, not having this 4th base on the Zerg player is really going to start to cost him as the game goes on. You saw the income? It's 2,000 or 1,000 with the equal gas. And one-on-one versus the armies, I think the Zerg player probably has the advantage. There's just too many Marines in this army, and fungal growths are just so devastating. So we'll see exactly what happens. He tries to run, he gets hit by the fungal growths, and these Hydras just mopping up these guys is just going to be an absolute massacre. He cannot go full in against these guys, because between the fungal growths and the large Hydra army, he just does not have the army to take these guys on. And the medevacs coming in, that's a bit of a mistake. So really, in a long-term game, the Terran is going to win, but in the next 2 to 3 minutes, I think the Zerg player could wipe out the Terran force if he does the proper job. But he's not going to go in there. He's got a pretty large army, but he's not going to push it at the moment. He's too worried about these drops at the moment. I think at this point, he really needs to stop worrying about these drops. He really needs to just go in there and just completely obliterate the Terran player, because he does have an army advantage here, and I think he could go in, he could wipe out these guys without a massive amount of trouble, and just go in and just take these bases out. He really needs to do it. Even if he gets hit with some dropships back here, I think he just needs to say, look, whatever, you take out my 1 base with your dropship, I'm going to wipe out all 3 of your bases, or at least your 2 mining bases, and we'll see who wins after that. I really think the Zerg needs to push in there and do something. But the Terran player is doing a very good job of distracting him with these dropships, and the Zerg player is just, he hasn't got his focus where it needs to be. His focus needs to be on taking this base out, and more importantly on taking this base out, but he's worrying about the drops that are hitting things that, you know, really don't matter, like this hatchery. You can just cancel that hatchery, let the Terran player drop it, let them shoot this guy for 5 minutes. Meanwhile, get in there, take out this base. You're running all of these units all around the map just to repel these small drops. It's it's just a waste, and the Terran player knows that he's got to get in there, that he's doing a good job. He's got the economy where he needs to be. He's moving this Zerg player around where he needs to be, and he's just getting the units that he needs to. He was building a factory before, so he's trying to get a counter for these infestors. I'm guessing tanks maybe. He's going for a large amount of starports, with reactors. Probably just for medevacs. I suppose if he has a massive amount of medevacs, he might be able to do just triple M and maybe push in through that. But whittling this Zerg army down is going to be a long and arduous task, and he's survived based on luck so far, based on the fact that this Zerg hasn't pushed in, hasn't taken this base down when he's had so much time to do so. But once the Zerg goes in there, I think the Terran player is going to have a lot of trouble, because his economy is awesome, but his army composition is just not as good as the Zerg players. The Zerg has a much better unit composition compared to this Terran force. And he's running back. He's running back to defend this force from taking out the base. He's trying to play a long-term game against the Terran player, but the Terran player has the economic advantage. You can't play long-term against this Terran player, because it's just going to add up and add up and add up and add up, and eventually the Terran player will just whittle down this army, and he'll have more income, so he'll be able to build up more and more, and it's just not going to work. You can't go in there and keep just defending these drops. You just got to do an all-in push, take out this base, wipe it out, wipe out everything in the Terran base. You just got to completely wipe him out in one fell swoop, and he's rapidly running out of time, because this economic advantage is just widening and widening and widening. You see 3 tanks, 3 marauders, and 11 marines. This is not the unit tab, this is the production tab, and 5 medevacs. That is how much he is producing at any one time. And I don't think the Zerg has any chance of being able to produce that much to keep up with the Terran production. Even if he had the minerals, which he doesn't, he couldn't keep up with it, and sooner or later the Terran is just going to be able to throw an unlimited amount of units at this force and whittle them down. Every single infestor is going to bring him closer to the end, and I mean, he can afford to produce a fair amount of infestors, but you got to remember, he does not have a mining base at the moment. He's only got this, and that's it. That's the only mining base he's got. The hatcheries from the other two have been taken out, so he really needs to push in. He's taken out this army. He's done a good job, and he needs to finish this off, but it may be too late at this point. Terran force has a nice army here, and there's really nothing to defend, so the Terran has got the forces he needs. He's producing more forces. By the time these guys are finished off with this base, he'll have produced another army out of this base. So I really think that unless the Zerg can make it happen in the next couple of minutes, he is not going to win this game. He's just not going to be able to win this game, and we'll see how exactly how this is. I think these guys are going to get wiped out. So nice use of swarm hosts wherever they are. They've stimmed too much. There's no medevacs to be seen, so those guys are going to go out, and it's just down to these guys. But of course there is a fairly large army being rebuilt up here. Of course now he's lost the third base, and that's not good. He does have a crap load of drones over here, but he does not have enough minerals to actually be able to build an expansion over here. Maybe he should start lifting this one over to there. See how that one works. But the Zerg player, come on, get in there and wipe these guys out. You have the superior army. I don't know why he's moving back. A defensive play right now is going to kill our Zerg player. He won that battle, but his economy is crippled, and the Terran player's economy is slightly less crippled. I think the Terran player is still in a slightly better economic stage. He just needs to move a command center over there, and he's got a fully mining base, and he's still got a lot of harvesters as well. 63 over 22 for the Zerg player, so the Zerg is still at an economic disadvantage. And the Terran player is just going to be able, the more time you give him, the more he's going to be able to build. So really the Zerg player just needs to go in there, needs to do the damage. With all these fungal growths, I don't think there's going to be any problems wiping out this marine force. Of course he does have a lot of SCVs surrounding him. There goes that command center. If he takes out this command center, then that's going to go a long way towards ensuring that he can actually win. Of course he only has 238 minerals as well, so he's long distance mining as well. And here we go. This is a beautiful move by the Zerg player. Take this out, and then take out these guys. I think you can handle them. This is a fungal growth target if there ever was one. Those guys are so clumped up together. And yeah, he's just going to pick up this command center. He's just going to move it in. And if the Terran can get down here and start mining, and if the Zerg doesn't shut him down, then I think the Zerg may very well lose this game. He had the upper hand, but he's giving it away now. There we go, the swarm host. It's a nice action from the swarm host. He doesn't want to send him over there now. He wants to send him over here. You need to send the swarm host over there. Oh, this is not good. You need to redirect your swarm host into the middle, because that's where all the forces are. There's a couple of medevacs here with some units. Just going to see what's going on. But the main action down at the Zerg base is here. He's managed to get up enough minerals to build another hatchery, and there he goes. He's going to run in here. The medevacs are not going to be able to do anything. The Zerg forces intercepted it, which is cool. But yeah, he really needs to close this base down, and these guys just need to go in there. Please tell me he sees that. He doesn't see it. He doesn't know anything about this middle base. He should know, because he destroyed an expansion that was going there, but yeah, I'm not sure. I still think the Terran may have had a chance. May have. But only if the Zerg continued to do the wrong thing by not attacking this base. And I think eventually he would have gone in, he would have taken this base out. So look at that, 55 minerals on that hatchery. That's just absolutely amazing. So yeah, excellent game there. The Zerg player definitely had a better unit composition, but he was he was not nearly as aggressive as he needed to be. The Terran was very aggressive, shooting drops over to there, shooting drops over to there, sending units all over the base, keeping the pressure on the Zerg, trying to force the Zerg into a defensive play, and the Zerg player just went along with it. He got stuck in that defensive play. Every time a drop came out the back, he said, alright, I've got to go defend it. And I don't think that, you know, that was the right action. I think he should have sacrificed a bit of his own home ground in order to go in there and do the massive damage he needed to do to this base, because this base stayed alive way too long. Just way too long. Even a bunch of lings, like 12 lings or something, running in here could have done a lot of damage, but he didn't do it. He got stuck in that defensive play. In the end, his superior unit composition, the infestors, the hydras, and the roaches pulled him out in the end. Even though the Terran had a massively better economy, Zerg still managed to push it out with some excellent engagement, excellent use of fungal growth, and he managed to pull off the victory in the end. Excuse me. So much talking, so much dry mouth. It's not very good. Of course, this cough I've had for the last month is not very good either. But anyway, fantastic game by both players there. I really like the Terran pushing out the economy. I really like the unit composition from the Zerg player, and I think that's game. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Hairy Muppet, and I hope you enjoyed the game.